Hello.
Welcome to
Wisdom for menopause
and beyond.
And beyond.
I'm sorry. It's like I was so surprised that worked. I was just completely thrown. So we've been thinking it's quite interesting. We did a little talk about external to internal. We talk a lot about sort of internal
things,
internal ways of processing, internal ways of viewing things. So we thought it'd be kind of interesting to explore the external if you like, the external world a little bit and how we can kind of connect with it.
Yes, and then we kind of drifted into this concept of breaking the mold.
So it kind of came around, we're looking at what is outside and how we interact with outside. So
and what outside experiences do we like? Do we always like them? Do we change our preferences? How do we know?
Do we get stuck? And I know when we've been doing one mode of living for a long while, whatever that is, for women, it's either children, no children, working, when they're traveling. And I was talking to somebody the other day who'd been traveling all around the world, and for different reasons, her parents were aging. She had to come back and buy a house and be very stuck in one place, really. So this is a time when circumstances, wherever they were for a long time, change. And it's almost opening ourselves up for the possibilities. This is now time when we can perhaps try something different.
Yes. And what happens if we don't want to? And do we know? And we're kind of like, it's a question, because it's like something came up for you where you're kind of thinking, well, I don't really want to do that. And I said, so is that because you genuinely don't want to do it? You've made that kind of, that's how you're feeling, it's actually not right for you at all. Or is it just because you're staying in your comfort zone and you don't want to be outside it?
No,
and I loved it because you said, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm still questioning. So is it fear that's stopping me stepping outside of something?
Or is it totally just saying, do you know what, actually, I've given up doing those things and I'm not doing that anymore?
No. And so because there's definite restrictions, we may have no money, we may have children, we may have whatever it is that stops us doing something. Is that a comfort blanket? So we actually have been thinking about how much we could or should push ourselves, because we always say this is a time of creativity, a time of internal change, a time of external change, but it's a time of external opportunities. So you were saying this weekend you haven't got time to fit in all your art galleries.
I know, it's great.
All these different places.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, that sounds quite busy, but you think, is that because I'm late or scared or lazy or fearful? And it's like really challenging ourselves. So I was thinking about that external world and how we could sort of challenge it and try it. So you were saying you bought a van.
Yeah, we bought a camper van. And we bought a camper van, like 6 or 7 months ago. And I kind of think it was interesting because it had become a bit of a kind of a fantasy. It became a real fantasy, things that I wanted to make happen. I'd kind of been having that thought, it'd be quite nice to have a camper van and do this kind of stuff. And then I kind of got a bit more, I really want to get one. And then it was all about, my idea of it was a bit of that, the open road, and you get in your van and you set off and you don't know where you're going to be and all the rest of it and stuff like that. And you can park places where you wouldn't normally stay, and you can be a bit, free and easy, so all of those things, which it's not me at all, actually. It's not me at all. So I kind of had all these ideas about it, about what it might do to do something different, to have a piece of equipment that would enable me to be a different person.
Has it realised your dream?
Well, it is interesting in that we haven't quite yet been brave enough to do the thing where we go and park in the middle of nowhere and we don't plug in. We have to go somewhere where we plug it in. But it has made us, for us, much more spontaneous, in the sense of we normally have that conversation about Monday or Tuesday. Are we doing anything at the weekend? Shall we go somewhere in the van? Now that is spontaneous.
That is for you.
That is pretty bloody spontaneous for us. You're like, you wake up in the morning, actually, should we go and have like you say, a sausage sandwich on Dartmoor or whatever? We're going to do that.
Last January, we watched an old film. We love old films. And we watched it and it finished about midday. And it ended up, it was a crazy 1950s one, but it ended up at Penzance Bandstand. And we looked up and went, oh, Penzance Bandstand's still there. So we got in the van. And 2 hours later, we arrived at Penzance, looked at the bandstand, found a car park. And we were amazingly the only person there at this time of January. And we stayed in this car park and it was the most beautiful, crisp night. It was about -2 and we looked at the stars and we kept the van door open and just looked at the stars and came home for breakfast on the Sunday. So it was a lovely thing, but it is just wherever you are. I think I was looking at like just breaking the mold. Like because my first thought was, why I don't have to do it, it's quite cold.
Yes. And it's interesting.
I've seen it on the map, and I know we can go to Penzance in August or something.
It's warmer, Oh, you wouldn't get in then, but anyway.
I know you
won't get into Penzance.
But it's just that breaking the mold of seeing it, and I think although it was one of my favourite memories from this whole year, I love that. And you're doing lots with your van, but I was also looking at somebody who had to some reason or another get in a van. And he got in a van and he said it's the most depressing experience because all the things he expected were not there. He felt lonely, felt sad, felt insecure, didn't feel like he had his home. But I still think it was a very valid thing to do. So I think it's breaking the mold and then thinking, actually, I've just realised this isn't for me.
And
I don't think that's a bad thing.
And
staying
so that's the thing. So having a thought about, so here's an opportunity, here's something that I could do, and I'm not gonna do this, and then trying to look at, it's almost like a justifying. Do I need to justify why I'm not doing this? I'm doing it because of these reasons, rather than I'm doing it because I just want to. Do you know what? I just want to be in my little shell.
I think it's that external world can get quite small. And very safe and very small. And I think safe is good, but I think what we're saying is about when we've broken the mold, we've realised how that safety net can be bigger and more inclusive, but still safe.
And I know, and I kind of think, and I kind of go back to my mum when she had her new hip, and she got into this thought about, because she was told that she had to exercise every day and you have to use it, because that's what happens. You have to rebuild the muscle, you have to do it, and you have to do it quite soon.
It's hard.
Do it afterwards. And then she got into, oh, well, you're telling me what to do, I'm not going to be told what to do. And then she got into, it's really painful and you don't understand. So she could have a bit of her martyr, complex was going on then. And so then she kind of stopped doing the exercise. And then, of course, when she did walk, it was more painful. And so what happened in the end was she ended up spending most of her life, her waking life, sat in a chair in her living room, looking out the window.
So her world got very small.
So her world got very small. So this has been a woman who had, who'd done a lot of fell walking, who'd, kind of travelled, she hadn't travelled much, but she'd been around and she was a bit more outward looking than that. And then what I kind of felt was that because she had gone into the easy life, comfort zone, whatever, that the comfort zone actually shrunk and shrunk and shrunk until she was in this place where when she started, she was able to walk up and down the garden and she was able to drive around the corner and all the rest of it. But by eroding that bit by bit by bit by bit by bit. So it is that, what are we doing when we make a decision that we're not going to do something or we're not going to go out of our comfort zone? Just to bear it in mind that you might need to challenge yourself.
I think that's it.
Every so often.
And sometimes we don't know, but sometimes if it's a definite, you think, I tried that, I'm not doing that again. Potholing, tried that.
Oh, don't ever do that.
No, that's not for me. But it is that definite. But I think it's as we get older, it's nice to challenge ourselves without being crazy. And just being honest, this is because it's still growing yourself, isn't it?
Yes, and I think it is that being in a place where you do have the freedom to choose and to change, because maybe you are doing something that you've never done before. Why not?
Yeah.
You know, and then are you doing it now? That's the other thing. I mean, what you always keep talking about, hashtag 15 more summers. And I go, you know, and it's like, oh God, I need to do it now because
I've only got 15 more summers
to do something now. So but that's a bit fearful. So I regard it as fearful, as you thought it was quite a positive thing. So saying, I'm going to bloody well milk those 15 summers as much as I can.
I did think it was really, really, really positive.
Yeah.
Because I just think if I've only got 15 more summers, I can't afford to have a summer doing nothing.
Yeah.
I've got to do something on that.
Yeah.
So the 15 more summers was really positive. But as we said before, it's not the thing, it's your approach to the thing.
Yes, I know.
And I also thought, I can't keep changing this or changing that. And the other thing is, I just had a new boiler and I think that'll see me out. That's good. So I think there's lots of freedom to it.
Yes.
And I do think that wherever you are in life,
yeah,
you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So it's always a good thing to...
So it is looking at that external event. How am I reacting to this external event? And is it, I should push against this and I should try it out? Or have I realised that this is not for me and I'm okay with that?
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't know.
And if you
don't know.
You don't know. And if you think, actually, I realised I did that, as my dad would say, you never say, I wish I had, or I could have. You think, next time that opportunity comes up, I'm definitely going to take it, even if I doubt it.
Yeah.
So,
or I know definitely I really don't want to do this again. Potholing.